Well, okay, two spirits. Those who arrived in the Native American Garden of Eden had never seen a land so uncorrupted. The Europeans saw new geography, new plants, new animals. But one of the hardest things to understand was the original peoples and their way of life. Of all the foreign life ways Indians held, one of the first the European targeted for elimination was the two-spirited tradition among the Native American cultures. At the first point of contact, all Native American societies acknowledged 3 to 5 gender roles: female, male, two-spirit female, two-spirit male, and one that we would call today transgendered. Now, two-spirit from the Ojibwe language is used universally. Each tribe has their own specific term, but there was a need for a universal term that the general population could understand. The Native American belief is that some people are born with spirits of both genders and express them so perfectly. It is as if they have two spirits in one body. Some Siouan tribes believe that before a child is born, its soul stands before the Creator to either reach for the bow and arrows that would indicate the role of a man, or the basket that would determine the role of a female. When the child would reach for the gender corresponding hand, sometimes the Creator would switch hands, and the child would have chosen the opposite gender's role, and therefore casting its lot in life. In keeping with European prejudices held against natives, the Spanish Catholic monks, that's ironic, destroyed most of the Aztec codices to eradicate traditional native beliefs and history, including those that told of the two-spirit tradition. In 1530, the Spanish explorer Cabeza de Vaca wrote in his diary of seeing soft native Indian males in Florida tribes dressing and working as women. Just as with all other aspects of the European regard for Indians, gender variance was not tolerated. Europeans, and eventually Euro-Americans, demanded all people conform to their prescribed. Native Americans traditionally assigned no moral gradient to love or sexuality. A person was judged for their contributions to the tribe and for their character. It was also a custom for parents to not interfere with nature, and so among some tribes, children wore gender-neutral clothes until they reached the age where they decided for themselves which path they would walk and the appropriate ceremonies that they followed. The two-spirit people in pre-contact Native America were highly revered, and families that included them were considered lucky. Indians believed that a person who was able to see the world through the eyes of both genders at the same time was a gift from the Creator. Now, traditionally, two-spirit people held positions within their tribes that earned them great respect, such as medicine women and men, shamans, visionaries, mystics and conjurers, keepers of the tribe's oral traditions, conferers of lucky names for children and adults. It has been said that Crazy Horse received his name from a two-spirited conferer. They were nurses during the war expeditions, cooks, matchmakers, and marriage counselors, in addition to adopting orphan children and tending to the elderly. They were also jewelry and feather regalia makers, potters, weavers, singers, and artists. Oh, like today.
Just like today.
Just like today, yeah. Female-bodied two-spirits were hunters, warriors, engaged in what was typically men's work, and by all accounts, were always fearless.
Just like today.
Just like today. Okay. Traditional Native Americans closely associated two-spirited people with having high-functioning intellect, possibly from a life of self-questioning, keen artistic skills, and exceptional capacity for compassion, rather than being social dead-enders, as within our Euro-American culture today. Traditionally, they were allowed to fully participate within traditional tribal social structures. I will leave the last words to the late Lakota actor, Native rights activist, and Native American movement co-founder, Russell Means. In my culture, we have a people who dress half man and half woman. Winkty, we call them in our language. If you are Winkty, that is an honorable term, and you are a special human being. And among my nation and all Plains peoples, we consider you a teacher, of our children and are proud of what and who you are.